Welcome back to another episode of the Draw Control podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Junior on the George Washington women's lacrosse team, Shea Baggett. Shea had a career year last season, recording 8 goals and 3 assists for 11 points. Shea also won a state sectional championship in 2019. Thank you so much, Shea, for coming on the podcast today. And how's everything going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to get started.
Well, I'm very excited to have you on, and obviously the summer has come and gone. So, how was your summer, and did you do anything interesting, whether it was lacrosse related or not?
It was awesome. It was pretty low key. Just, followed the workout packet, went to the beach, the usual, worked a little bit. So it was good. I can't complain.
And what were some of the things that you worked on to get ready for fall ball, which is starting up pretty soon, which is hard to believe?
Yeah, it is hard to believe, but obviously the workout packet, you gotta follow that all the time. And one thing I really wanted to improve was my left hand and my fluidity between hands with my dominance. So that was one major thing that I focused on this summer.
And I'm not sure what the NCAA rules are like, but when do you guys like officially start practicing as a team, and what do you guys do as a team to get ready for the upcoming season during the fall semester and in January as well?
We officially start not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. So that's super exciting. We're on crunch time. And what we'll do to prepare for the spring season is we'll do a lot of fall ball games, which are always super fun. And then we'll just focus on our team chemistry and honing in our individual skills and our fitness to make sure that by the time the spring comes that we're in perfect condition for that.
And what are your team's goals and expectations for next season? Obviously, you guys took a step forward last season, so I'm assuming it's to build off that and potentially win an Atlantic 10 championship.
Yeah, 100%. Just to keep pushing every year to get farther and farther into the tournament and to individually improve as well as a unit. I think we did a great job in the last few years of continuing to improve. So that's all we can really ask for.
So let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your lacrosse career and sort of work all the way up to where you are today. So, doing research on yourself, it says you're from Madison, New Jersey. So, talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing lacrosse?
Growing up in Madison, I loved it. It's a super small town in North Jersey, and I know North Jersey gets a lot of hate, but it's really an amazing place. I started playing lacrosse in first grade, and my parents had me in every single sport under the sun: basketball, swimming, tennis, rugby, and luckily lacrosse was the one that stuck because I love it. I played with the same group of girls from about first grade to the end of high school, and it was an amazing experience to just be able to learn and grow all together and share such a passion for the same sport.
Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite players and teams that you like to watch?
Um, I would say Kayla Trainer is always just a big one. She's amazing. She's so talented. The way that she just everything about her on the field is you just can't take your eye off of her. So I would probably say her. And then as for specific teams, I didn't really have one. If it was on, I'm gonna watch it. And that was pretty much for me growing up.
Now, before college, you played for your high school at Madison. So, talk about your high school lacrosse experience and sort of what did you take away from that?
The main thing that I took away from that was definitely work ethic and consistency. Freshman year of high school was a little rocky for me. I was in the in between the JV varsity stage and I really wanted to be on the varsity team and get myself a starting spot. So what I focused on was just working on everything that my coach was given. Coach feedback was a huge thing, and then just keep pushing. And eventually I did everything that I was instructed to do. I worked hard, I got my mind right, and I got to where I wanted to be. So that is definitely my biggest takeaway was hard work. Just it gets you to where you need to be.
Now, like, what's the best memory you have from your high school lacrosse days when you look back on it now?
Probably winning that sectional championship that you mentioned earlier. It was an amazing experience. We were supposed to get crushed, and we actually won by a significant amount. And my younger sister also played with me my senior year and her sophomore year, and she's a defender. So we'd compete against each other, and just having her there was an awesome experience.
Now, you also played for the center court club lacrosse team as well. What was your club lacrosse experience like, and how did it prepare you for college?
Club was definitely different than high school. For me, my club was an amazing experience and I loved it because there were so many different people from the same area that I had never met before and had very unique talents compared to the team that I had played with for so many years in the past. So I loved that. And the creator of CLC Lacrosse is Kim Christos, and she just so happens to be one of my great family friends. So she really got me into it and acted as sort of a mentor and really helped me throughout the recruiting process and growing as a player as I matured.
Now let's talk about your recruiting process now with George Washington. What made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at, and what was the recruiting process like for you overall?
The recruiting process was fine. It's the recruiting process. I ultimately landed on GW because not only was it a high level Division 1 program, it really checked all of the boxes for me in every other way I wanted to be at an academic centered school in the city with all that kind of stuff. I wanted all the different cultures, all of that. And also, every girl that I talked to who was already on the team during my visits and all that communication had nothing but good things to say about it and loved it. And they seemed so tight knit as a community that that's why I ultimately chose GW.
Now, as a freshman, what was like the biggest adjustment that you had to make to college lacrosse?
I would say just the general level of speed and physicality. The girls in college, they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. And when you're a little freshman coming in, you still have all of your confidence because you just crushed it your senior season. Now you come here and all these girls are just crazy. They're insane athletes. So I think that adjusting my speed and getting used to the level of physicality, especially where I play with defenders all on you all the time, that was the biggest thing that I had to change. But I ultimately think that I did it and it made me a better player. And now I love it. Like, bring the contact, bring the speed. It's the best part of the game.
Now, talk about what it's like playing in the Atlantic 10 conference and just the competition that you face each game, because I think it's a pretty underrated conference. You play some really good teams, and what's it like being a part of it?
I personally agree with you. I love the A10. And the reason why I love it is because you do have those great teams who are nationally ranked, and then you have some that aren't necessarily nationally recognized. But at the end of the day, any team can win any game in the A10 conference. That's my favorite part about it is because the underdogs could be the top dog, and you never know. And every game is a toss up, and you just whoever plays the hardest comes out with the win.
So let's talk about your freshman year now. So during your collegiate career, one thing I noticed about you is you've kept improving and getting better. So what would you say is the biggest improvement you've made to your game throughout your time with George Washington so far?
Honestly, I think my mental game. I think I had some confidence coming into freshman year, and then as a freshman, like I said, everyone's bigger, faster, stronger. What I learned is that everyone's going to be bigger than you, everyone's going to be faster than you. There's always going to be someone who's better than you or worse than you. So to just stop comparing myself and then focus on what I needed to work on. And then I seriously built my confidence after that. And once I was self confident again, and that kind of took it to a different level in my physical play as well. And I think that that's the biggest piece of advice I could give anybody is your physical game isn't going to be there until your mental game is.
How do you work on your confidence? Because I feel like it's so easy to lose confidence, yeah, it's so hard to gain confidence. Like it
Mm.
takes like a few games sometimes. I feel like to gain some confidence. So how do you work on that part of your game?
I just try to brush it off. If a mistake happens, okay, next play. Then you reflect on it after the fact. Because if I keep reflecting on it in the moment, like you said, then it's going to take games and games and games because I'm going to be so wrapped up in all the things that went wrong. And a thing that our team started doing last year that helped me immensely, and it's such a small thing, is if you're doing a drill in practice and you're not necessarily super happy with it, or if you're getting frustrated, or if you drop a pass, you pull yourself out, or at the end of the drill, you just sprint 100 for every little mistake that you make. And our coach doesn't tell us to do it, our captains don't. It's a self you like hold yourself accountable, and that is something that has tremendously helped me.
And how do you work on your attacking part of your game and finding new ways to beat defenders? Because I know you mentioned this offseason you're trying to work with your least dominant hand to sort of find new ways. I'm curious, how do you sort of become creative and find new ways to be a better attacker? Because that's something that I feel like was a big reason for your success this year was how you were so versatile in finding new ways.
Yeah, I honestly, when I work, I do every position on the attacking. I usually play in the middle, but sometimes I'll work low, then I'll work high, and then I'll work as a split mid coming in. I just like to try and practice a little bit of everything so that when the time comes, I am prepared. And also, my sister, as I said, is a defender. So I tried to work a lot on reading defenders. So, like, seeing, like, oh, her feet are going here, so I should go here type of thing. So, because not the same thing's going to happen every single time. So, I think that that would be really beneficial.
Now, just talk about the physical part of the game because that's something you mentioned. I'm just curious about that. Um, do you like how do you like sort of become more physical as an attacker? Because I feel like that's something you more hear with defenders, just because you have to sometimes take in those charges and all that stuff. I'm just curious how you sort of became more physical as an attacker, and what's like the biggest sort of like hit you've made so far in your collegiate career with JW or GW.
I don't know if I necessarily have made a hit, but the way that I just embrace it. The physicality. I know the defender's coming to me. I know I'm gonna leave with a bunch of bruises, and I embrace it. I look forward to how many bruises I'm gonna have on my arm at the end of the game. And also, it's like I want as many bruises on my left as I have on my right, so that I'm being versatile. I'm using both hands. I'm doing what I have to do, and I've been also working on trying to take that contact from the defender and use it to my advantage. Like if the girl is leaning or something like that. So I've been trying to put a positive spin on it and use it in the best that I can.
I know you mentioned that you don't remember any big hits that you've had, but has have you ever received any big hits? Like, I'm curious how you sort of worked on that.
I definitely have. That's one of those things where I just try and forget and move on because the big hits are never fun. But if I have any this season, I'll be sure to report back to you and send you videos.
All right, all right. As long as you can sort of shake them off, like you said. And was there any like sort of big one though, like sort of a welcome to college lacrosse one? Because I feel like sometimes each attacker has one, or you can't really think of it right now.
I would say I can't remember a specific instance in a game or something, but one of our defenders in our class, Katie Hipp, I actually think you reached out to her. She is just a brick wall and she's fast and she's coming at you. So every time I go up against her, she's probably the first person who played defense on me in college when you're scrimmaging in the fall. And I was like, whoa, this is different. This is big. So I would say probably anytime I'm defended by her in practice.
Now, I saw that you scored your very first collegiate goal against Monmouth this past season. So talk about that goal and sort of what it meant to you.
That was an amazing goal, and not because it was my first goal, because that game was the first game with a new coach, a lot of new people on our team that I really felt us all connect as a unit and play together from the defense to the middies to the goalies to the attackers that we all played together. And the best part of that goal for me was that I was the first goal of the game. And after that, I think it was just nice to see that like we just need a little quick start and then everything worked together perfectly. Not perfectly because nothing's ever perfect, but the flow, it was amazing. I saw the chemistry. Everyone worked together from defense to offense, like I said. And we didn't win that game, but I think that was the first time that we were actually like, okay, we got this. We can win. We can beat some pretty good teams out here. So that was the best part of that.
Now, how would you evaluate your team's performance this past season from your perspective?
I think we did really well. I think it's all about progress. And I think that our defense is incredible and they're definitely super, super strong. And then our offense is also super strong. We have a lot of people who can do a lot of different things. And our middies did a great job of connecting both of the units that we played very cohesively. And I think for the future, that's something that we need to keep progressing on because if we keep working together like that, we're going to get way farther than if we did individually. So I think that that is something that needs to be a primary focus.
Now, you go to a really good school, Shea. So how do you learn how to balance both academics and lacrosse at such a high level?
Time management and eliminating procrastination. I am naturally a procrastinator. So for me, every time like, oh, I can do it later, like, no, you do that now. Because if you push it off, everything's going to get overwhelming and stressful. So I would say that time management is really what's helped me balance and be successful in both fields.
Now, what's been your favorite moment from your collegiate career so far?
We played St. Bonnie's last year towards the end of our season, and it was our senior game, and we were playing an old coach, and it was an amazing time. We everybody just played their absolute hardest that I've ever seen for a lot of different reasons, personal and team, and it was so fun. I've never seen the locker room so hyped up before and after, and you could feel the energy on the field. And when we dipped a little bit, we pulled ourselves right back out of it, and we just kept pushing and pushing and pushing to the very end, and it was just an awesome experience all together, and it was a great way to like send our seniors off.
So let's now go to the segment I like to call the non-lacrosse segment. We're asking some
Okay.
non-lacrosse questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the field.
Mhm.
So my first one is, if there was a movie made about your life, who would you want to play yourself and why?
Oh, this is a hard one. I would say maybe Jennifer Lawrence. I'm not super, super big in movies or anything, but I just saw her No Hard Feelings movie, and I also used to be a big fan of The Hunger Games, which our team also had a phase with that last year, which was really fun. But she's super, super serious on the field, like not on the field, during her job, and I feel I'm the same way, but then she kind of relaxes and is a little bit personable, and I also think that I just admire how she works really hard and get everything that she needs to get done. So, and I think she's a great actress, so probably her.
I would say probably Ryan Reynolds for me, just so I
Yeah.
can remind people that he played me in a movie. I think that would be pretty fun, and I think he's a good actor as well, so that obviously helps. So I'd probably go with him. Now, next non-lacrosse question is, what's the most underrated holiday and what's the most overrated holiday in your opinion?
I think underrated Thanksgiving, overrated New Year's Eve.
All right, I agree with you on
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. I think it definitely gets overshadowed by Christmas and Halloween. I always say New Year's Eve, so I'll go with a different one this for this interview. I would say Valentine's Day, just because I feel like people make that day to be the biggest day of their relationship when it should be you should put that energy into more days instead of that one. So that's probably what I would say is the most overrated, and it's just a way for companies to make just to find a way to make more money than they and try to take more money out of the pockets of us, which just frustrates me a little bit as well.
That is a hot take, but that's a good evidence. That's a good sporting argument. So
Why are
that
you a Valentine's Day person?
no, I've just
Oh,
never heard Valentine's Day being an overrated holiday. I like it though.
all right, I appreciate it. I have a
Mhm.
lot of takes, but it'll take too long on this podcast, so I will save them for some other time. But now let's ask you some questions about some of your teammates. Who's the funniest teammate you have at GW?
Yeah. Oh god. That's the best thing about the team is that everyone's pretty funny, so we're always having lots of laughs. Um, oh gosh. This is a hard one. I would say our goalie Mia is really funny, but she doesn't try to be funny. It's just her personality, and she doesn't know it. So I think she's super funny. Um, oh, and also Amelia Moran, one of my teammates. She's one of my closest friends. Hilarious. She's just this giant ball of energy that never stops, and she just says random things, and it's hilarious.
I think you have the best style on the team, Shay, off the field. But besides yourself, who would you say has the best style on the team?
I would say probably Parker on my team. She has a very different vibe, very different aesthetic. She has bangs, which I absolutely love, and I feel like you don't see anymore. She kind of has this like 70s hippie mixed with modern aesthetic, and I love it, and I tell her all the time.
What is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Mhm. Oh, living in DC in the heart of the city, you see a lot of crazy things. And Brandon Cohen, my roommate, and I, we live on a corner apartment right next to a metro stop. So we saw a man who got his hands on two megaphones yesterday, and he is just saying some crazy, funny things while doing a bunch of other weird, funny things, but just little things like city living.
I would say for me, I saw this really interesting video about how the sports entertainment industry is going to change with gambling being legalized in many states. And I thought that was pretty interesting and sort of how ESPN's trying to switch things up with the new streaming model and all that. I find it really fascinating. Some people might find it boring, but I thought that was really cool. And it's going to be interesting to see how things develop with that because I think we've seen how streaming has affected movies and TV, but I think we're now going to see it in sports as well. And with all the different contracts in place and the realignment from the collegiate side of things, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all sort of spreads out and how the money is made from different corporations and stuff like that.
No, I totally agree, and your answer is way more sophisticated than mine was.
Last non-lacrosse question is: what is one
Okay.
item on your bucket list that you'd like to do one day?
Mm. I have never been to Europe or overseas, so I would really like to go there. And Europe is notorious for their train systems and being able to get a lot of different countries really fast. So I would love to just dedicate a week to just go to Europe, pick somewhere in the middle, and then just travel all over via train. I think that'd be super cool.
Which country would you want to visit the most? I guess.
Mhm. Probably Italy. I
Hmm.
think that it has a lot of different things going on there and a lot of history and culture. And I think I would want to go to more the not so touristy areas to really get the full feel of it. So
I would
hopefully I
definitely
can
have to
go one
stop at
day.
Rome though and see the Colosseum. I feel like
Mhm.
you have to do that when you're there though.
Yeah, have to. I'll take the train there, don't worry.
Honestly, if I would ever go to Europe, I would want to see like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland because I feel like people don't really like go to those areas, but it seems super nice with some great landscapes. So I'd definitely love to check that out one day.
Agreed. Does
Uh,
sound good.
I think number one on my bucket list is probably similar to yours. Travel, like to
Mhm.
go to different parts of North America. I feel like I got to start out in this Western hemisphere first
Yeah.
before I go out to the other one, since I haven't really left my area where I'm from. And then I would say outside of that, I would like to fly a hot air balloon one day. I think that would be super fun. So I'd like to do that at some point.
That is another crazy take. You would never be able to get me in a hot air balloon.
It's
But how
better
fun.
than going on a submarine to see the Titanic, though.
Yeah, that's that's true. I wouldn't do that either.
No, I'm a little nuts, but I'm not that nuts. So I think
Mhm.
I like to say I limit the risk I can take. I'm more common sense with it, which I think is probably a good thing.
Definitely a good thing.
Now, getting back to some lacrosse questions now, what advice do you have for younger players listening to this podcast on what it takes to be a college lacrosse player like yourself?
Like I said earlier, that similar to the theme of working hard is just stay consistent and work as hard as you can and be coachable. Because even if you might not like your coach or agree with what they're saying at the end of the day, ultimately they do know what they're talking about and they do know best. So just be coachable, work hard, and do the best that you can because at the end of the day, that's also all you really can do. So just work hard and be the best you can be.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's lacrosse from your perspective?
Exactly what you're doing, just bringing more popularity to the sport, and I think that it's been going well in recent years. Like watching the tournament this year, there was a ton of people there. Everybody I knew was actually talking about it, whether or not they had a connection to women's lacrosse or not. And I think just spreading the word about it and doing things like you're doing and getting to know players on a deeper individual level rather than just simply statistics. And another thing I also think would be it's super popular on the East Coast. It's making its way up in on the West Coast, and then I think focusing and maybe developing programs in the Midwest where it's not necessarily as popular because just the more people involved, the better it will be and the happier we can make everyone with by spreading our sport.
Well, yeah, I appreciate the kind words, Shay, and I agree with you a lot. I think it's important to sort of get to know players, but not just. I feel like everyone knows who the star players are, but there's so many great players like yourself who I feel like don't get enough recognition. So hopefully, this is a platform that can help you guys get some more recognition and people can want to watch your team play. So I appreciate the kind words. It means a lot. Before we end this interview, Shay, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your teammates, family members, and friends? And who should we have on the podcast next?
I'll shout out everybody on my team, my family, my friends from college, from home, pretty much just everybody I know. I wouldn't be here without them, and I'm so happy in where I am in my life right now. And I have three recommendations for you. I have Catherine Christos at San Diego State, Erin King at Temple, she's actually my cousin, and Riley Baggett, my sister, at Wagner. So I got a lot of lacrosse connections here for you. So hopefully one of them agree, and you'll have a great time with them as well.
We'll definitely reach out and see what happens. But Shay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I think you're a great person and a good player as well. So I just want to let you know that. And I can't wait to see the big things that you do this upcoming season with GW.
Thank you. I had so much fun. This was awesome. And I'll make sure to tell everybody I know about the Draw Control podcast to spread everything you're doing.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.